All right, so thank you for being here. Happy Thanksgiving if you're from the US. If not, happy Thanksgiving anyway. My name is Den, the PM on the team that drives the technical documentation side at Microsoft. docs@microsoft.com. I'm sure some of you might have seen it before. So to give you some background on myself, and I will not dwell on it too much, but I'm a PM at Microsoft. I've been building docs for the past, I don't know, going on 5 years. I've been basically for a little bit more than 2 years to Canada. And in terms of what I do on the doc site, I help drive the homepage. So if you go to docs@microsoft.com, something is broken, you can talk to me. I drive the user experience, content interaction controls, and pretty much anything that has to span the site. So with that, let's kind of talk about documentation. So something that all of us use, developers, non-developers, it doesn't matter. We always rely on documentation, all sorts of things. So what do you expect from documentation? Typically when you get started with, say, a product, framework, it doesn't matter. You expect to see up-to-date docs. You expect to see examples, you expect explanations, some community access. The reality of that is quite different. So the feedback that we hear a lot from people outside of Microsoft, within Microsoft, is when they look for documentation on the next big JavaScript. They're out of date. Not so many places where you have to look around. So there's just no common site. You go to Google, you go to Bing, you try to search. So how do I? We have 17 random repo they have to go to. It's just not fair. So with that, the added problem is always that talk to developers, what's the answer when write docs? Yeah, I'm gonna do it later. Whatever, don't worry about it. Like just write the code, write the document. You can imagine what kind of documentation comes out of that. So with that, we decided to kind of let's do some retrospective and look back at how did Microsoft build their documentation. You might remember MSDN or TechNet. There were two different sites that were built by the same team at the time. And again, can't blame people at the time for thinking it this way, but the idea was like, okay, we're going to build one site for IT pros, one site for developers. We're going to be focusing on good content in each, but there are going to be these two silos. So we had this artificial split of people, documentation too. It was powered by a proprietary system, so it was something that was built in-house. Did not use at the time. If you listen to Gregor talk about open source components and all these great things that Microsoft was doing, at the time we did not have open source components. We did not reuse them. We did not open source the product itself. So we had a proprietary publishing system. Content was stored in a proprietary XML flavor. And if you like writing, okay, not a lot. Good. Be scared. So it was very inconvenient. It was a very cumbersome system. It was very problematic. It was very brittle. So making any sort of changes would take forever. So if today you look at cloud deployment, whether you're on some app or some project, how long does it take to deploy it once you actually have 5 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour? Back in the day, it was maybe like 2-3 days. Like, can you imagine writing a doc, you're submitting the change, they'll be like 3 days. So it was very problematic. There was zero automation, everything was manual. So if, for example, .NET Framework, new release comes out, there's 300 new APIs. Somebody actually went and wrote the docs each and every. There was no reflection process. Nobody looked at the code and said, okay, let's update this. Like somebody actually went API by API. Docs. It was a very complicated process. And as Microsoft grew, as we kind of broadened up the shift, it became very problematic to keep up with all of that. The new Windows came out, and now you have to rewrite all this documentation. So your documentation will be, 6-7 months behind the next release of the OS. Bad. So we flat out outgrew what MSDN could ever do. We could not keep up with the velocity of the product release. So the side effect of that was that a lot of teams started building their own things. So ASP.NET, that's on site. OSS, on site. There's no longer the centralization source. Like there's we created this artificial fragmentation. And then we decided, like, you know what, this doesn't work. It's 2016. It's we're well in the age of cloud. Azure's there. Why are we doing this? We decided to start from scratch. And with that, we came up with this concept of what we call docs.microsoft.com. It was supposed to be one site to combine everything that we do in the technical documentation space. So, the entire company, whether you're Windows, Visual Studio, .NET, whether you're building Linux VMs in the cloud, doesn't matter. You go to docs.microsoft.com. So we started from scratch. We did not read any of the code from the legacy systems. That there's no point in kind of digging into that code base. We're going to start from zero. We're going to build it for the cloud, ground up, and not spend time on trying to migrate the legacy code base. One of the core tenets of that was we want to automate things. The problem with the previous site is the fact that everything was manual, like I mentioned there, and it did not scale. If we're going to start from scratch, we might as well put automation in place. We also wanted to use and that, so we did not want to reinvent the wheel. We wanted to write Word documents and documentation. And as a matter of fact, all of our tooling, I want to say like 85% is open source today. So if you want to build your own documentation site, you can just pick everything up that we use and run your own. So it's global by default. All documentation that we host is translated into 64 locales. If you are from Korea, China, India, if you're from Russia, Romania, all our documentation is translated to those locales. So we don't know the right way to do things. Trends change, development needs change, content needs change, but we can experiment. So one of the big things that we love doing on our site is setting up that, if we have a feature or content coming up, we want to try it out, see how the community perceives it, and then run with it. If it doesn't work, we scrap it and rebuild it. So another thing that we wanted to look at is building a editing experience. This is kind of what I alluded to. But before you had to deal with XML files, that's a lot of friction. Instead, we standardized on Markdown. How many people here know how to edit Markdown? Way more than people know how to edit XML documentation. That's good. So we standardize the Markdown as standard. So if you are going to GitHub and you add a contribution, all you need to know is just the basics of Markdown, nothing else. You don't need to care about what we have, what servers we use. We have integrated API reference. So if you have ever browse documentation for a framework or a programming language, say for Java or .NET or Python, they have documentation. Java has JavaDoc, .NET has the IntelliSense suggestions, Python has doc strings. So they actually integrated all of that into docs, and I'll talk about that a little bit. You can edit directly on GitHub. All our content that's on docs.microsoft.com is coming from. There's a repository backing every single content set, doc sets or documentation sets. And if anybody wants to make a contribution, say you found a typo, you found a bad picture, you found that something missing, an example that is bad or not building, just go to GitHub, add a contribution, like a pull request, and that's it. Which makes it very easy to preview changes. So if you ever need to make a change, you're not sure from docs, they actually have the tools to do that they build behind the scenes for you and show you here's what the code will look like with docs. So if this would be a page on docs, edit, you can just click on that. That will take you directly to GitHub. You don't need to clone the repo if you don't feel like it. You can make your edits, find a typo, find a link, of course, edit that out. And then you're done. That's how complex the system is, really. It does. You can imagine that if before you had to wait 3 days, and now I can do this. And I'd say it's a huge productivity improvement. Not a lot. So with that, the automation of the process was kind of at the heart of what we're trying to do. So, like I mentioned, API documentation. We generate millions of docs for Node, Java, Python, .NET, REST using Swagger, OpenAPI specs, PowerShell, Azure CLI, all that is built automatically. No human ever tries to edit those docs. We do content validation. So when we publish documentation, there's a lot of stuff that we don't need to check again. Are there typos? Is this stylistically correct? We integrate a lot of process that make sure that whenever contributions are submitted by internal authors, by external partners, it's actually validated against a set of standards to make sure that our docs are right, and it's not something that somebody else will look later and say, oh, this is inaccessible, or your screenshot doesn't work well with the screen. We also have a content testing suite, so things like 404s, orphan pages, SEO compliance, because all one discoverable and thing. All of that is done automatically. Nobody has to do manual audits. We have tools that will just let you know when something is. We have GitHub bots that we actually are using a lot. So automation, because the content is in GitHub, we automate everything through GitHub. And the GitHub applications that update content are kind of in every PR. If you ever submit a pull request, it's not going to be automatically merged, approved. It actually will run a set of tests through GitHub, and it will tell you if anything is broken or off. Somebody else will merge it. And we have also sample indexing, and it's something that's fairly, but the idea is there's a lot of examples, a lot of developer code to GitHub, and we want to make sure that we build a system that crawls GitHub, indexes, and allows to scan that in an easy manner. Also, we made the URLs readable. If you look at the first line here, the first URL, yeah. What does it tell you, that page? I don't know. If some coworker shared this to me that I'm not sure if I want to open that. Now, the second URL is the kind of simplified approach to URLs, and we made sure that whatever documentation we generate, the URLs are as if you read a blog post. So I look at the URL, I know exactly what this is. .NET API system collections, whatever there is. Okay, cool. This is .NET API. I don't need to. Also, we focus a lot on conventional configuration. So if there is a repo with content, you don't want to fiddle big files and make sure that, okay, is this big? Is this it doesn't matter. Your folders are all right. So here I have this like the .NET API. Like, what this is, it's a folder in the repo that is .NET nested. The API folder nested in the .NET folder. This collections like parent documents. So example, the second line here that you see with content test MD, it becomes the URL on the page itself based on folders. So nobody actually has to go in and configure how that works. Also, it's easy to set up redirects so that the links don't break. So given the fact that we move a lot of stuff from docs, for that all of it is he ends up redirecting to the site. So old results, old documentation. If you're reading a book on how to program Windows 95 and thinking it, probably still probably. So content versioning, another thing. When we talk to developers, one of the things they bring up is like, okay, well, there's 17 different versions of this package that I'm trying to use, and your documentation is 2 versions behind. How do you solve that problem for content? Well, we do content versioning with what's called monitors. And first that is, it's a query parameter to the URL. It makes it very easy to switch. So if I'm documenting a package for, 1.0 and then 0 comes out, all I need is to switch this moniker in the URL. It makes it very easy. So we're not burning in versions in the URL, because the problem with that is that a lot of old documentation starts getting indexed by Google and Bing. And if you search, how do I format a string in C# and you end up on an old doc, that's problematic. So instead, we opted to not do versioning at all, the URLs, instead we're using terms that are being searched. Also making sure that the URLs are consistent, guesswork, discoverable, and as a human, easily read them automatically. Also, API documentation, like I mentioned. So if you're a .NET developer, Python developer, Java developer, we have dedicated tools that allow you to find all the APIs Microsoft ships for each of those verticals. So if you're a Java developer, you go to docsmx.com/java/API, find all the Java APIs. If you're a .NET developer, .NET/API. Same experience. Consistent, it works, and it's a search index that's very, very reliable. Also, we have a semantic understanding of the APIs. So if looking at Python content versus .NET content, we know that the way packages, classes, namespaces are different. All that is being accounted for in experience. So overall, that just reduces the friction. As we built the documentation side, we wanted to make sure that the documentation is discoverable. You're not spending a lot of time trying to figure out, okay, where the heck do I go to find what I need? We'll give you the resources. Your goal is build software or solve the problem they have. We'll give you the resources. So with that, also a lot of the content that's being covered for API is intertwined with human-edited content. If you've ever landed on some library documentation page that's completely auto-generated, it sucks. It doesn't work well, right? It's like, oh, here's the method, and here's 3 parameters. Okay, great. So what? So we actually built a system that allows us to pull in examples, descriptions, tutorials, how-to guides, quick in all this content, so it makes it very easy to get started, in addition to seeing kind of the reliable information for the API. So how does it work? There's a lot of different package types or artifact types. For a node developer, the NPM packages, there's PyPI if you're Python, NuGet if you're .NET. All those things build tooling that takes in the packages, their respective sources. They pipe through their own set of their standard languages. So if it's Java, it's JavaDoc. If it's Python, it's Snakes. NPM, you can run it through JS TypeDoc. And then we convert it to what's called schema-based document processors. For every language we define a schema. Let's say documentation for .NET should kind of like this. Documentation for Java should look a little different. Or Python, it should look different because now we have different concepts. And then that is converted into standard format that we use for publishing, that is YAML and Markdown. I know there's probably not a lot of fans of YAML, but it works very well for content, so we combine the human edit Markdown and we publish it. That makes for great. Again, behind the scenes, probably not a lot of people care what we use, but it makes it easy. So what's the volume of all this? We run about, past year, about 100,000 API jobs that executed to update API documentation. We ran about 100,000 jobs in Azure DevOps that allowed us to kind of constantly be generating up-to-date documentation. We have more than 10 million lines of auto-generated docs on GitHub every year. There's no human that's going to be writing that. You can imagine how long it's going to take to write 10 million lines of accurate API documentation. You can also ask the question, how accurate is documentation be with a human? 10 million. So this powers a lot of content. About more than 9,500 JavaScript content, but then compared to almost 5,000 pages of .NET API documentation. Microsoft has kind of the .NET ownership, so obviously there's going to be more documentation on that. So with that said, the documentation CI jobs that I just mentioned, they run multiple times a day. So teams release nightly builds. You go to those nightly builds, we'll pick up the artifacts with package, and we generate the docs. Within hours, the documentation is live. So what needs to wait days or months, it's all handled automatically. All API docs, in our case, also have standard URL patterns. So if you're Python documentation, JavaScript documentation, .NET documentation, they also are what we call hacks. Look at it and kind of think, okay, if I'm looking for .NET, maybe it's going to be something like .NET/API/NPM name or pre-qualified name, which is system.string. And if you go to that page, you get the string page. Same for all the other languages here. So with that, we realize that we also document a lot of the documentation that I mentioned that's coming from GitHub. It's coming from different artifact sources like IPI packages, NuGet. We actually link to source. For a lot of the docs, there's a link on the page that allows you to go directly to the source guide that are documenting. So if you're ever reading some documentation from the site and figured, okay, this code seems odd, I'm not sure how it works, you can actually go directly to the source code, the library, how it works. Very easy to switch versions on the site. So above this table of contents, we have an indicator there that allows you to pick your version. Developing, 3 versions behind because you're working for a bank that doesn't want to update. Great. That you can select the documentation for that. So everything is logically grouped. Everything is automatically generated. Again, no human ever looked at that. No human ever reorganized that. All a reflection of the code. The developer decided to organize 17 different classes, 3 modules. That's what a documentation shows. This allows us to generate docs of tens of thousands of APIs in minutes. I'm not exaggerating. We're literally generating, and that runs on the standard host state, not running VM. So, as I mentioned, contracts over handcrafted documents. We have the concept of schemas, so we've built in a transformer, essentially, that defines a JSON, and then, okay, here's what Java documentation should look like. You take content from different artifacts like JavaDoc, NuGet, transform it based on the schema, make it look good on docs, and get standard on docs, YAML and Markdown. We have a consistent template, so we have the same HTML, CSS, JavaScript that's applied across the site. We don't allow partners to customize at all. So if you're a partner that writes documentation, you never have access to HTML and CSS. Always edit the Markdown and the outer YAML, that's it. That ensures it's consistent, that everybody that uses the site uses the same thing. It's accessible, and there's not a lot of kind of issues stemming from the fact that somebody all of a sudden edited a script or an iframe that breaks the site. So with that, we also realize that a lot of times when we generate documentation, that's not the end of the journey. So that's just the start. Why is that? So if I'm a .NET developer, I need to generate probably LSNs that I can bundle with my library and then develop my good package. Do that. Java, same way. Distribute JavaDoc. It's going to be running well in Eclipse for my developers. I can do the same thing through our pipeline. So, like I mentioned earlier, we have cover APIs, a wide variety of APIs that Microsoft ships. In the screenshot, you see the Python API browser. But we have the same thing for Java, for .NET, for REST, PowerShell, where because the content that we generate is structured, the content that we look at, we take NuGet packages, VM packages, and we transform them into what we understand. That allows us to very easily index that, and then find the necessary APIs in literally seconds. If I go to PowerShell API browser, Python API browser, and type in a manlet name, it'll just show up instantly because we know exactly where to look for. So it's a search across products. So if I'm ever not sure where the API is coming from, I could just use, it'll just give you the product. They're also found kind of some of the IP auto suggest browser. So if you look at the page here, this is, if you ever tell us IP, you get the suggestions. This is that, but for documentation. Now let's talk about another aspect of fun than construction. This is interactivity. So a lot of times when developers come to documentation, they look for trying out. So you see an example. You see some Python notebook. You want to run it. It's problematic to set up an environment locally, try out the example, and deal with dependencies. It's just not a fun job. So also, the fun thing about it is nobody wants to look at the text. Somebody wants to kind of have this try things out. So for that, we kind of, again, step back and looked at Microsoft and said, okay, what teams do interactivity well? who can we collaborate with to make sure that we make our documentation a little more hands-on. So with that, we've talked to several teams and we've decided to partner, and we've integrated some experiences on our doc site. So if you're reading, say, documentation on REST APIs, say you're building something that uses the Azure AKS, Kubernetes, and you're interested, okay, how do I format my parameter APIs to make sure that I get the list of clusters or I create a cluster? Well, you don't need to guess, because you can actually try it button, green button above the picture, that once you click on it, it gets you in this like Postman is a tool that allows you to try REST APIs in the browser. So you can kind of get this REST, try it. We'll fill out the parameters for you. We'll connect you to the subscription, format the URL you need to execute the request against, and you can see what the output is. So again, it eliminates the guesswork. It's all powered by open API specs, again, by virtue of the fact that we are using open standard, a standard that's been adopted by the industry, and it allows us to easily define the structure of the .NET documentation, same way. The .NET, Try.NET team actually has been kind enough to provide us this experience, so you can run .NET code in documentation. You don't need to install anything. You don't need Cisco. You don't need Visual Studio. If you're looking for, house string format, go to that page, click on Run, and right at this side of the page, you'll see this. Type in the code. You can try it out. You can edit it, and you can see what it does. Runs the container, stateless. So please don't mind Bitcoin. You'll be able to. But you can actually run full-blown C# code in this container for free. We also have the Azure Cloud Shell documentation. So if you're experimenting with Azure CLI, you can go to any of our CLI pages, run, and you can try what those commands look like. Connect to your own Azure subscription. So there's a lot of overhead there, but you can run it in the browser. You don't need to install it. With that, the other aspect of documentation, the technology is one side. Technology is easy. Building tools is, we have great engineering teams, we have fantastic partners, authors. That part is more or less kind of stable. The interesting part is community. We have more than 2,500 repositories that we publish documentation from every day, and almost half of them are public. We have more than 4,000 internal employees and contractors who write documentation and contribute to documentation. So I think we're doing pretty well at scale. It's a huge change in the culture of how Microsoft received documentation. Before, it was one of those things where so I work on docs, I don't deal with Windows, I don't deal with, but if I go to any Visual Studio documentation page and say, okay, this sentence is odd, I will edit it. I will go to GitHub and I can edit it. That's something that we haven't done before, because before we had these silos, if you were Visual Studio, you just don't go to Visual Studio and tell them what to do. Now I can come in and help them make better documentation. So with that, we also kind of focus on the fact that because the repos are public, we want to attract public contributions outside of Microsoft. We are actually one of the top contributing projects according to GitHub. So Microsoft itself is an organization that had a lot of organizations. And in 2018, funnily enough, at GitHub Universe, they presented Azure Docs repository was the fastest growing GitHub project. The documentation wasn't some framework, some new React flavor. It was the documentation with Markdown files. So there's a lot of demand for that. It's very easy, and people love contributing to it from what we see. So with that, as we kind of thought about community, we realized, okay, we're focusing on GitHub. Everything is open source. How do we engage with people? How do we get contributions not just from people inside Microsoft, but also from people outside Microsoft? With that, we shifted how we get feedback. So before, if you were in the world of MSDN and TechNet, this little box at the bottom kind of says, you enjoyed this page, yes or no? They know. We ask why. We then have to go in, and then you don't hear from us ever again. Then you start wondering, okay, Microsoft, I Did that feedback go to like a rule, just like in your email when you set out a rule, and like if this comes from this person, just send it straight to trash? Did the feedback go the same way? So the answer is no, but it wasn't obvious. So we shipped it to GitHub. So now on a lot of our documentation pages, the feedback that you see at the bottom, they're GitHub issues. These are not comments. We're not using any comment system. This is actually being pulled from GitHub. So if you have an issue with documentation, come in and say, hey, there was a typo. We'll open an issue, and the team will come in, they'll triage it, they'll assign the labels, you can use GitHub actions, you can add a frowny face if you're not happy with what we decided. But it's there, it's in the open. Anybody can interact with it, anybody can see who the owner is, what this is assigned, it's triaged, ping them, the outcome is very easy. We treat documentation like a product. So a doc issue is a bug. So you're reporting bugs, issues. So with that, kind of the key learning for us is that transparency matters. Love when they can follow up on issues. Love when they see the status being updated. They're contributing instead of sending this back into some ephemeral container that nobody will ever read. Your customers also know things better than you do. Like I said, we are not know-it-alls. There are learn-it-alls, it says. We want to make sure that customers, our documentation, tell us what the documentation, where it works or where it doesn't. That's kind of a big problem that a lot of times we encounter as product owners. Like, have all these great ideas, but we want to make sure that we listen to you. So if you ever see issues with docs, you ever see issues with documentation, please submit a GitHub issue. So working with community is not the same as kind of asking them to do the work for you. That's kind of the reaction that I hear from people. That the first time I talk about documentation that's open source, it's like, oh, you're just asking people to write docs for you. We don't. We have full-time writers that are tasked with writing documentation. The goal with open source documentation is to make the community shape docs in a way that is meaningful to them. If you ever see examples that are broken, you ever see that they're typed, you ever see the screenshot that's bad, you can just report an issue. You don't actually need to go and edit that doc. Open an issue, we'll fix it. And we really appreciate it. So it takes time. It's only 2 years in this journey. It's only launched, 3 years now, 2016. 4, wow, 10 months. But there's still a lot that we're learning. So please tell us if it's ever broken or not standard. So with that, I will do some of these things. Like I mentioned, automation is your friend. We want to make sure that everything that we do on docs has as little human involvement as possible for these tasks, like labeling and content validation and testing. Compared to what we had before, we've made a huge improvement, if we do say so ourselves, to our documentation side with automation, having GitHub, unified analytics, having a shared engineering team that now is, we have one engineering team that builds this experience. There's no 2, 3, 4 sites that are split in terms of priorities and vision. It makes it very easy to shape this vision. For legacy documentation, you might be wondering, okay, what the heck happens to MSDN and TechNet? And the answer to that is, the expectation is like the new shiny thing comes on, it's like, okay, let's blow it up, the old thing, let's shift to the new thing. It's actually much slower. So we've taken on this mission to move MSDN and TechNet content to a new site, redirect it, make sure that the links are not broken, make sure that all the, the SEO juice is not lost. All of that is working on it takes time, and we're still in the process of doing it. 4 years in, so that's how it's making sure that our documentation is great and customers and developers don't lose it. So with that, you'll inevitably get feedback that old is better. We've heard that a lot. I don't like your style. I don't like the fact that this is not a different look. That's okay. As long as we set expectations and communicate why we do, we'll generally perceive that as positive. With that, I'll wrap it up. If you need to find me on Twitter, first handle there. Docs also has its own Twitter handle, so DocsMSFT. You can the fun content we share. docsmax.com is the site. If you do want to roll your own structure that shows documentation, aka.ms/docfx, you self-host. Well, like I said, most of our first job is just going to be gluing it all together. And if you have any other questions, thoughts, suggestions, my Microsoft alias, and feel free to send me any emails. I'll be happy to answer your questions. I'll leave like 1 minute for questions. Yes. I like to tell people that we used GitHub before we bought GitHub. So I think it was probably it contributed, was maybe like a catalyst to the process of kind of making Microsoft more comfortable with GitHub contributions. But even before the acquisition, we were using GitHub on a pretty much a daily basis. So I'm not necessarily that changed a lot for kind of our immediate teams, maybe for other teams, and maybe kind of added more credibility, but it wasn't necessarily the thing that kind of bent us over the open. Yeah, it could be. I don't think I have a better answer to that than it could be. We don't have any data on that. But, yeah. Okay. Yes. Greatest challenge when creating automated pipelines: content loss. Because when we start converting things that are, say, you're writing Java doc or you're writing Python documentation, it is standard for a Python developer. Once you start converting it to a structured format that then another pipeline picks up, you'll have every Python developer come to you, knock on your door, and say, "This doesn't look like what I expected. Here's why." That was the biggest challenge with automation. It's like content loss. And again, that's why we have a feedback loop where we talk to developers and say, okay, what's best better? Yes. So, like, yeah, the question is like, how do we keep up new contributions, making sure that they're up to date? The easy answer is, like I mentioned, we have a full-time staff of writers. So if somebody contributes, say, a new screenshot, and then the screenshot is out of date 4 weeks later, we'll probably have a writer come in and then edit that screenshot again. So we appreciate contributions. A lot of them are very long-term, so not a lot of contributions that we get out of date that fast. But when the writers step in, they usually fix it. Right. We're not shifting the responsibility to the community to maintain it. It's still our job. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, and we have our kind of process for larger pieces. We try to kind of tell people, don't come in with a whole new article right off the bat. Talk to us. Open a GitHub issue that says like, hey, I think this article is missing. Like, what can we do? Then we can say like, maybe a writer is already working on it. Maybe we'll ask you like, hey, if you want to contribute, feel free. But we definitely try to keep the conversation open. And like you mentioned, if there's any feedback that we're happy to hear, we're happy to give it. Well, thank you, everybody. It was fun.
Okay, thank you very much.